Okay, so I'm going to try and do this quick for you because my neighbor just left. You don't need him spying and eavesdropping. So here's the thing. First of all, it starts with this. You see this hose I have in my backyard. So he has one. Here's the tree, but his house is back up there, right? So he had our eavesdropping and his collecting all the water with a giant tube like this that runs all the way underground along our fence. That went all the way down to here. And actually came out into this neighbor's backyard at the end fence. Now, she just informed me of this last week. I'd never known that. So in the winter time, when this all melted, their whole yard was like a swimming pool. I videotaped that for the last 2 years to show the difference of the winter and when it all melted. Now, normally this stuff is supposed to run down to our drain down there. But what he had done was, excuse the tarps, that's to keep the raccoons from coming down the fence into my yard. So he basically, what we had was, we used to have a gully running along underneath the fence that went there. So he flattened his earth out and made a box. So he removed the natural incline, and thus all the water kind of really pooled here and lowered the ground to where there was just a huge, gap underneath the fence, and all the raccoons and then the skunks would come in under here. And I sit out in my backyard with my cat at night, and he sits there and just does his thing. So I had to put these stones here, but before, this thing was a little higher than this, but that board, like, I tried to match the dirt to even it off to his kind of too, but it just keeps lowering. Like, every year I put new dirt and I go grass, and then the next year it turns out to this, and then this board shows again. So it's just a complete mess. But what the change he did was, basically what happened was, first off, I contacted the Ministry of Agriculture, and they told me the tube that I was talking about, the tube comes out down here, right at that little spot right there. So you can't see it on this side. You literally have to look at it in this person's yard up close. It's right down there. I don't even think you can make it out too well, but it's right at the bottom almost of this thing. Now, this is this cat spot where the cat always sits. So what he did in feuding with us, because this neighbor, I've been dealing with the police for years. He records us, he stalks us, he stands there and just listens in our back door. He films me, he watches me at night walking my cat. It's a whole ordeal. But he had started, not last year, but just like the end of August the year before, standing here and just watering stuff. And he'd be there every day for hours just watering. We thought he was just like... Hi, sorry, I'm just filling in a blank piece of the video because I realized it got cut off. So what I was talking about was, he would be standing there all day for like hours, and we didn't know why. We thought he was just listening into our backyard. But my brother and I went for a walk last August to the grocery store. And we saw him rinsing his floor mats and garbage cans and everything down into the lawn right there. Anyway, so he was rinsing all that crap down there. And that's what later on caused us, when we realized the cat would eat from that part of the grass and get sick all the time. That's what clued in that something was wrong, really wrong. I looked in and I saw the hole in his yard, and I was like, oh, that's what he's been doing. He's been rinsing all this garbage down this separate tube that goes into the main tube and comes out right beside where my cat likes to sit. So back to the story. Anyway, sorry, so we saw him rinsing all his trash cans and the floor mats and everything like that. I took like a 5-10 second quick video of it, because I'm not going to stand there, filming someone like this in their driveway. But we were like, oh my god, now we pieced everything together. So he moved that one down there to here and decided to add another little hole. I don't know if you can see it now, but it is, the pipe runs there, and then there's a hole over on this side, right around here. You'd have to actually go into his yard and see. But that's where he was rinsing all the garbage and all the chemicals down. So I was like, well, the calcium was found in stuff in the road, so maybe that's where it's from. He goes and literally cleans the road, both sides up and down, with a broom and a dustpan, brings all the garbage back, throws it in his garbage can, and then the city collects it. Ridiculous. So he was rinsing all the road shit, whatever, cigarette dirt, everything just coming out into this spot. And the lady here said none of her plants grew over on this side anymore, so I don't know how far the contamination goes and if you guys need to do soil tests or whatever. But the one guy from the city who was just checking out the drain said you might have to, you know, fine him for rezoning the area or have a, like I said, a soil test done. But that's basically the dumping that he's been doing. I hope that makes some sense, but that's the gist of it. He's basically just been rinsing garbage in that spot, and now, like I said, I dug all it up, but I'm probably going to do the whole area in stones, which again costs to me. Every year redoing that costs to me. But sorry, so the other part, maybe if I wasn't clear, was the land went so far down that nothing comes down here anymore. This people, they drain fine, but this doesn't drain here anymore. And it's not because of the stones, it's just always been like that. But I blocked off the drain last summer because the Ministry of Agriculture told me as long as I didn't go on his property, I could go block the drain, because no one has the right to dump their water onto someone else's property. The natural runoff here is a different story, but he was collecting and dumping it, and he put mine in there too. So all the water that melted, all the rains, all the storms, when you see the shh coming out the bottom of the eavesdroppings there, all that went into their yard, and then it turned their yard into a swamp. Like last year and the year before, we had mosquitoes this big. I asked her this year, did you notice that your yard was not a swimming pool? And she said yes. And I was like, that's because I blocked that hole, and all of everybody's runoff didn't go into your yard and help contribute to ruining that. So he's been doing two things for years: dumping all that excess water, ruining their backyard, which I read on the Ministry of Agriculture site that he is, I guess, legally or financially responsible for, whether he would pay it or not, but they could take him to court. And even us, for anything we have to redo within reason to bring our lawn back up to snuff or whatever from all the damage that he'd done. But it's mainly with me, my cat being sick and causing me all that stress. Like I said, this man has been harassing us for 20 years, and I'm at the limit with poisoning my cat. That was the end of the line for this. So that's what this is.